Hey pals, welcome back to another video. I know I might look a little bit different to what I usually look like. I'm basically doing a subathon and I had to shave my eyebrows and head. So this is me now and yeah, we're just going to move past that. Anyways, I'm actually stuck. I'm being held hostage on my stream here doing a subathon for now 683 hours. And I thought I would make a video, a guide to show you guys how to do the Mage Tower for rogues. So in this video, I'm going to go over the Assassination rogues. My friend Calvish here. You want to say hi, Calvish? All right, so yeah, I guess what we'll do is I'll basically open my VOD and we'll just walk through the fight and we'll go over gearing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know what the next clip will be, but we'll go there. Okay, guys, so now we're going to go over the gear that you're going to want to use for the Assassination run. So since it's time walking, you're going to get toned down to or scaled down to level 45, and the eye level is going to cap at 50. The best thing you can do, what we kind of found out, is to go for socketed gear that's close to 50 eye level or above. There's a lot of this gear. You can actually buy crafted PvP pieces from Season 15. We used a lot of this prideful gear. There's also gear from Siege of Orgrimmar. Anything that has a lot of sockets that is really close to 50 eye level or higher is really good. The legendaries don't actually matter that much. It's basically just for the sockets once again. And other than that, your stat priority is going to be kind of just like wanting a lot of haste and mastery. I don't actually know the stat priority, but I went for like a lot of mastery because you're going to be multi-bleeding 3 targets almost the entire fight. So if you have a lot of bleed damage, it's good, as well as haste, so your dots tick faster. I'll go over the specific pieces that Calvish was using. Mine was extremely similar, so I'll just scroll through them all and you guys can kind of get an idea of what gear. It doesn't really matter too much. The reason he has green weapons is so he could put on this enchant called Siphoning. This is going to give you a lot of leech, as well as the enchant on your cape is going to be 20 stamina with 30 leech. This is...
Oh, yes,
Kender
Papa.
donated
Oh,
3
feed me
Canadian
milk.
dollars.
Oh, yes, yes,
Hey
yes.
guys, Baltimore here. Today we are talking about Mage Tower.
Okay, Kendra, thank you very much for the 3. Really kind of you to do that in the middle of the video. Anyways, it's really important to go for leech on the gear and your weapons. This is a huge component of the Mage Tower, and you're going to need this for the survivability. For the trinkets, you're going to want to run a couple options. Battle Master seems to be pretty good. You can pop your Battle Master if you like choke in the fight and you need to get more health. You can also just pair it with your vial to get more healing value out of your vial, and it gives base agility, which is really nice. And then we went with the Insig just for the flat haste and then the stat increase. So all that we have left to go over is just the consumables, and then we'll get into the talents in the actual fight. So I just have a consumable list here that Calvish wrote up. This is everything that you're going to need for the fight. I'm just going to read it out, and then hopefully you guys can do the rest from there. This should be helpful though. So you're going to want Shadow Core Oil. This is something you can put on your weapons. Spiritual Healing Potion. This is like a health stone that doesn't share the same cooldown as your regular potions. You want a feast that's going to increase your stats with a well food buff. There's a couple different feasts. You're going to want a greater flask of the current for agility, a super battle potion of agility. You're going to use probably 1 to 2 of those during the fight. You can bring bandages. I personally didn't for this fight. I don't know if they would be that useful for this boss. You could also do Thistle Tea if you don't want to do potions. You can use an Augment Rune as well as a little buffer for stats. Keep in mind, even if it says the eye level doesn't work, once you go into
Platinum
time...
donated
Oh, yes,
3
Papa.
Canadian dollars.
Oh, feed me
Hi
milk. Oh,
YouTube.
yes, yes, yes.
So once you go into time walking, your level and eye levels are getting scaled down, so you'll be able to use other things. And something else he didn't note is actually drums. You don't have lust, so if you bring drums, you'll be able to give yourself like a mini bloodlust buff. So make sure you bring all these consumables. And now let's go over the talents. Hey guys, so for the talents, we messed around with these a bunch. There's a bit of preference, but it's pretty straightforward. I played Master Poisoner, and I believe Kelvish did Elaborate Planning. I think either of these are fine. I personally think the poison damage is more valuable since you're multi-bleeding and multi-dotting, but Elaborate could be good as well. Subterfuge, probably the best since you don't really get value out of any of these that much, but when you open with Subterfuge, you can get 3 Garrotes up, which does a lot of damage, as well as when you vanish aggressively, you can do that. You could play Vigor, Deeper Stratagem, or Mark for Death. I personally played Deeper Stratagem, so did Kelvish. Leeching Poison, like we talked about before, this is really important. You definitely want this, as well as Internal Bleeding. This is going to mean when you kidney one of the ads, you're going to have a lot more energy regen and damage. Alacrity, this is all around just a big DPS buff to get a lot of haste, way better than these. And then Crimson Tempest. This is going to be really useful for the fight. Like I said,
Mommy
you're
donated
Oh, yes,
3
Papa.
Canadian dollars.
Oh, feed me milk. Oh, yes,
OWO.
yes, yes.
Okay. Crimson Tempest is going to be really great for the fight as well because you're going to be spamming this AoE bleed onto all 3 mobs very frequently as well. So yeah, I guess now we'll just jump into the actual fight, guys. Okay, guys, so before we go into the actual footage of the fight, I just want to explain some basics, and I will probably... Thank you. I will
Sorry, but
probably...
who asked? Omegalil shish shish.
Okay, before I jump into the fights, I'm going to basically explain some really basic stuff about the 3 NPCs. First of all, they basically all have like a shared health pool, kind of. So multi-bleeding them is going to do damage to all of them. That's really good to know. So the first NPC is Jarl. This guy is melee. He'll do a basic ability where he throws his axe. The other guy is Sigrun. He's also melee. He'll throw puddles on the ground. And then the third guy is Runeseer, and he's a caster that will spam Shadow Bolt. Each of these NPCs kind of have a signature ability, and that's where you can kind of interact with them with your CC. So,
React on QT donated 6 Canadian dollars. Feed me milk daddy plus 6 Palu bald.
okay.
Dictionary donated 3 Canadian dollars. Jarl is pronounced Jarl dummy.
Okay. Sorry about this, guys. I'm going to leave this in the video because I feel like it's rude not to, but honestly, I did not ask for this. So, you're going to use your CC to interact with their special abilities. So basically, Jarl here, this guy is able to enrage, and when he's enraged, he will do way too much melee damage, and you'll have to either kite him, trade out evasion, or you can actually just kidney him. If he casts Bladestorm, you can actually kidney him or cheap shot him, whatever you want to do, vanish cheap, etc. And you could stop his Bladestorm right away. That kind of same rule follows for all 3 of them. So Sigrun, this guy will call Valkyrie Walls. These you just kind of dodge. It's kind of random. But he has an ability called Blood of the Father. When he's casting this ability, you will need to use blind on him. He's the only NPC you can blind. During the fight, your blind is a much shorter CD. And doing this will actually interrupt the cast. And then you can basically break your blind and continue doing AoE damage. But it's really important that you blind to stop that, or else this ability will basically indefinitely kill you and wipe you. If you let the cast go off and you blind him late, that is fine, but you need to let the full blind duration sit, because if he comes out of that blind after the cast already went off, he'll start doing the damage effect again. As for the last one, he has a shield ability where basically he'll start a really long cast, kind of like a Mega Arcanosphere channel, and he won't be able to be kicked until you break through a shield that's on him. Once you break through that shield, you can actually kick that and save yourself. Other than that, he casts Shadow Bolts through the fight, and it's fine to kick these whenever you can. That's pretty much it, though. But just remembering these basics will help you. And now we'll go through the actual fight, and I'll kind of explain you as we go through. The only other thing is the 2 miscellaneous things I have here. So purple runes. During the fight, there will be purple runes that will spawn on the floor. It's really important that you walk over top of these. If one of them explodes, it basically almost 100 zeros you. They will start big, and they will slowly shrink. And if they shrink too small, you can't step on them, and they'll blow up. So make sure you go for the smaller ones first. You want to step on them to get rid of them. And if you see yellow orbs, like these yellow spheres come into the room, those are the opposite. If you run into those, they will basically give you an almost full heal. So make sure you're getting these if you need the health. All right, let's jump into the actual fight now. All right, guys, so now before I just jump into the kill here, I want to quickly explain your goal here. So number 1, obviously, is surviving. If you die to the mechanics, you're going to die and you can't kill the boss. Number 2, though, this is a very DPS intensive fight. It's really important to try to min-max your damage the whole time. You can do this by multi-bleeding since the NPCs have a shared health pool. They have different amounts of health, but basically doing damage to one of them will affect the other ones. Even with optimized gear, consumables, specs, and everything, rotation, Calvish and I both actually did hit the enrage timer and just barely made it. So this is very hard right now. Probably a little bit overtuned, but definitely manageable if you are down to put in the grind and keep attempting it. So yeah, let's jump into the actual attempt here. So coming off here, the NPC is going to do some RP, and it will start. Your goal right away is to basically use your stealth opener to get 3 big garrotes on all of them with your subterfuge talent. Doing that, you can also kick the first Shadow Bolt on the 1 NPC, as you can see I do here, and I send my Vendetta right away. As soon as you have all 3 of these guys on you, you want to get a big Crimson Tempest on them, and then you're basically just trying to get your bleeds on every single target and slice and dice up. Because of your passive with Acid Venomous Wounds, you're going to get a lot of energy regen, multi-bleeding, as well as just doing a ton of damage to them, and you're just going to crank away. The first mechanic that's going to happen is basically Jarl, the melee guy. He'll do this Berserker Rage. You can just kidney shot that or evasion. I think I didn't have combo points at the time, so I just used my evasion. But stunning that is good, or just doing a combo of both of those. Not kicking the Shadow Bolts is not a huge deal. Obviously, you're not going to have kick for every single one of them, so you don't need to panic. And then, as you can see here, the first purple rune spawn. So these things will spawn on the floor frequently throughout the fight during some of these like intermission phases, and it's really important that you step on them. So like I explained earlier, they will spawn with different sizes, and the smaller ones are the ones you want to try to go to first. Once you step onto them, they'll disappear and they won't explode, but if they go too small, you won't be able to pop them and kind of get rid of them, and they can almost one-shot you. Once the Berserker ends, you don't really need to be kiting Jarl anymore, and you can get back to this triple bleeding and trying to do as much damage as possible. These green pools are the pools that I was talking about. These are the ones that Sigrun will put on the floor during the fight. Try not to have the ads standing in this. It's just going to be really annoying. Probably one of the more annoying mechanics. And then something else I didn't notice, mention, is Sigrun actually has a knockback as well. So that is really annoying. Nothing you can really do with that, I don't think. But yeah. The fight's going to keep going. More purple runes are going to spawn. Just triple bleeding them, kind of spreading out. And then you'll see this big gold animation come down. This is one of those gold orbs spawning. It's very important that, especially when you're low health like this, you want to pick that up, but don't do it where you're putting yourself in a position where you can die to an ability, but that's what you're looking for. And then at the same time this is happening, you can also notice that Sigrun is casting that ability, Blood of the Father, and it is very important to use your blind to interrupt this ability. Sigrun is the only NPC that can get blinded, period. And it's important to actually interrupt the ability instead of just using it after for, I'll explain. If you use blind while it's casting, it will actually completely negate the ability and it will go on to cooldown. Whereas if you let the ability go off, it'll still be active, but the NPC will be in a blind, so it won't be hitting you. The reason why you want to blind to stop the cast is because you're actually going to break your blind right away after you interrupt it, so you can start re-bleeding that target to have more DPS during the fight by dotting all three of them. I know there's a lot going on. Obviously, I'm feeling overwhelmed just re-explaining this, but that's just how the fight is. It's very intensive, and it's going to take a lot of practice and muscle memory. So we'll see here as I go and unpause. I blind the cast, and then I'm going to walk up, and I should in a second here when I stabilize. I could have already broken it, but I think I'm just stabilizing a little bit. You can actually break it, and you're going to just AoE reapply your Crimson Tempest and just DPS all three of them. As you can see, there's also these swirly axes spinning around the room. This is just one of the small abilities of Jarl. He chucks these around and try to dodge them. They're kind of unpredictable seeming. They go in circles, but they don't do the most one-shot damage, but dodging those will save you a lot of health. And then you'll see this ability here, Ancestral Knowledge. So this is the shield ability I was talking about on the middle NPC, the Rune Seer. The way this thing works is basically you see this tiny little gray bar. That's the shield. You cannot kick the NPC until he's been damaged below the shield, and then as soon as the shield's gone, you can kick that whenever before the cast goes off. Something that I didn't realize at first, I would always try to DPS into the shield right away to break it, but like I said, they have shared health, so you can actually just do damage to the other ads and also melt the shield. And something else to notice that Kelvish pointed out to me is that Leech actually doesn't work into shields. So if you're at low health, it's actually better to not attack the guy with the shield to break it. It's better to just multi-bleed and attack the other guys. Obviously, okay, I'm going to cut out this part, obviously, because I fucked up, and I'm just sitting here talking about fucking my own ass. Wait, what? Okay. It's not a huge deal, but as soon as the shield's down, you just want to make sure you get a kick. So Sigrun's here being annoying, throwing more spears on the floor. As you can see, the shield's going down. It's a very long cast, so you have a lot of time, and then you'll see the bar kind of changes from that Aura Mastery protection to like an open bar, and you can kick. Something else to note, Cloak of Shadows. So we can talk about the way you use your cloak in this fight. Cloak is basically an oh shit button. You can use Cloak of Shadows for that ability that I just kicked right there in case you can't break the shield in time. That's one way that you can cloak. Another way you can cloak is obviously to negate Shadow Bolt. And then another way you can use cloak is for an ability that's coming up very soon, which is actually this right here, the Valkyr. Basically, Sigrun will call these Valkyr to come across the whole field, and they come very fast. You want to find the opening and get there fast, and if you literally cannot make it to the opening, you might need to cloak. This almost one-shots you. With this much health, it definitely would kill me. So that's just something to keep in the back of your head. It is very important near the end of the fight that you do save cloak, because you'll be put into a lot of really tight situations where you're doing a lot of things at once, and it's kind of nice to have that oh shit button to kind of rely on. But that's just something to point out. So as you can see here, Jarl casts Bladestorm. he'll either do his Enrage or a Bladestorm cast. The Bladestorm's much better because once you kidney, the Bladestorm goes on to cooldown, and then at the same time, the blood starts getting cast by a Sigrun, so I blind that to interrupt it, and then I instantly break it, and I keep multi-bleeding. Heal comes down, I get the heal even though I don't really need it. The thing that's unfortunate with the heals that spawn on the floor is they don't actually last forever. They only last for like 10 seconds, so you don't really need to pick them up if you're full health, but it's in my head I'm just taking damage the whole time, so picking it up is probably worth it if I'm not losing out on a lot of damage. Just once again making sure I'm stepping on those purple runes. I think it's also really important to note that offense is kind of defense during this fight. Obviously, since we have a lot of leech, the more damage you're doing is the more you're going to be healing yourself. So even if you're kind of panicking because you're losing health, just kind of remember that the whole time. Right here, close call once again, but I run out. It's really important that you're using Fan of Knives a lot too. Fan of Knives will automatically apply deadly poison to the NPCs. If they have deadly poison, it'll make your bleeds proc that venomous wounds that we talked about earlier, giving you more energy regen. And it's kind of just rinse and repeat. It's honestly a pretty repetitive fight. I will play the whole thing just for the video, just to make sure you guys can see the whole fight if you want to watch through exactly what I do in every situation. And this isn't even a perfect pull. The thing about doing this is obviously there's a lot of space for error. Some pulls are better than others. Some pulls you get a bit worse RNG, like right here, having these purple things spawn inside the green. See right here, for example, was something I messed up. I didn't think that I would be able to get in there in time because of the positioning and what was happening. So I used my cloak to just negate the explosion of that. If I didn't, I could have been in a lot of trouble. But that's a really good example of like a time where you could use cloak or where you need to choose that you have to do that. Right after this, the Valkyries come. I run over, pick up the step on the purple, sorry, dodge the Valkyr, and I'm just doing as much DPS as possible. If you guys want an idea of what kind of damage you want to do, right now I'm doing about 1.1k sustained DPS. I would say anywhere from 1 to 1.2k is probably safe. But like I said, we did hit the enrage timer, so it's not really that safe. But it is something that you need to do. Right here is another small moment where I almost choked up. I did not have kidney shot or combo points ready to stop Bladestorm, so I actually used my vanish to cheap shot it. This is something that's really important that you can do, especially if he starts Bladestorming and you're not ready. And then also I was late on the blood of our father cast, so I blinded it late. But since I blinded it after the cast, not during the cast, I cannot break this blind or else the ability will keep going off. So as you'll see, I'll let this blind sit the full duration. Just once again, back to pumping DPS. Sometimes I'm kicking Shadow Bolts and sometimes I'm not. A reason why you might want to save your kick is for the shield ability. I'm pretty sure the cast is longer than your kick cooldown, so I think it should be safe to kick whenever outside of that. But that's why I was not at the time. So I'm just multi-bleeding away. You know, how's your guys' day going, by the way, there on YouTube? Oh, okay, here we go. We got a Blade Storm. Go ahead and kidney shot that. And I'm just pumping. I think at this point I was probably getting pretty nervous because it took me about 40 pulls, and every time their health would get this low, I was very focused in. So I might be starting to do a little not so efficient strategies here, like not letting my bleeds fall off and stuff like that. Right here, I run out of these Valkyrs. Slice and Dice is falling off. Just gonna refresh that. Basically, just keeping Growth and Rupture on every target, and ideally Crimson Tempest as well. Obviously, you're not going to have enough energy to permanently do this all the time, but you're going to do your best to try. I kick this Ancestral Knowledge, and then right here you'll see Jarl. He actually gets an Enrage, and then blood goes off from Sigrun as well, so I blind that, and then I actually get very lucky here and somehow don't get hit that by that Valkyrie wall, but I guess I just ran just fast enough, and it just recovered, so I guess it all worked out. I didn't really anticipate for this to be so long to watch back. I feel like I don't have much to say. It's a very repetitive fight. I think it's just important to do as much damage as possible the whole time. And yeah, I'll probably guys, I think I might just like cut this out on YouTube. There's not really much to it. Actually, I guess this is like the crucial part. I guess I have to put this in the YouTube video now, the part where I'm talking about all this. Okay, anyways, here, break the shield, kick the thing there, and then you'll notice right here, Jarl is actually finally going down. So what happens is kind of weird. You actually kill Jarl, but then you still have to keep fighting the other two. So even though they have different amounts of health, like I said earlier, they do take shared damage. It's kind of a weird mechanic. I blind blood there, and then this shield I'm not able to kill in time, so I just use Cloak of Shadows because it's back off cooldown, and I use that to negate the damage. If I don't have that, this can one-shot me, so really important thing to note there. and I'm doing as much damage as possible, just trying to pump into this guy. I go to break the blind here to multi-bleed, and then I think any second here as I'm running away, I see this shield come back up, so I'm really desperate to break the shields because I don't have cloak, and if this cast goes off, I'll die. And as I do this, I hit the enrage timer. So right here, I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to die. I'm kiting away, just throwing, shadow stepping, doing everything in my power. And as I'm doing that, my bleeds do enough damage, and I land the kill. It'll do some RP for a second, and then I'll fast forward here. It'll basically grant you your achievement here. Any second. I might have missed it. And then once you have this achievement, you basically unlock the transmog set that I showed you in game that I'll repop over to here. And you can rock this. Very cool set. You can do either sub, assassination, or outlaw to get the set. I think assassination and outlaw are definitely way easier right now. I guess phase 2 for subs very hard. I could potentially do guides on those in the future. I don't really know. I don't usually make YouTube videos while I'm streaming, so this is kind of improv and winged. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you like the video. Leave a comment down below. I hope I can help you guys, and good luck with your set. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me. And I will be streaming for at least another 35 hours and 36 minutes on the subathon. So when this goes live, if you have any questions, just come to my stream. I might be sleeping, though. No promises. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.